everybody, to another episode of Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, and my co-host and very good friend is Dave.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. We are covering Married at First Sight Australia, Season 12, Episodes 37 to 40, or the grand finale, Chris, the final stretch. We made it. Where would you like to start today?
Yeah, a week too late we made it, Dave. Yes, I've got to say. No, well, the week starts with, to be honest, I was like, just get this out the way. It's the Final Vows. Pretty much played out how I thought it would.
No
First
surprises.
couple was, yeah, not really. I mean, Athena and Adrian, the whole situation with them was bizarre, and I felt like obviously they both knew it wasn't right for them, but then Athena sort of putting it on him, saying like, do you not want to try? I was like, what? How many red flags? How much reality TV do you think you're going to get out of this? How much fame are you going to get out of this? Because it's just gone beyond the point of me caring the last few weeks. Because I'm like, you've low key, he's treated you appallingly, and he's been such a dick. But also, I've seen stuff with Adrian. I'm not defending him because I don't really like, but I've seen stuff with Adrian saying like he says about MAFS Day, one of his TikToks, and it's a fair comment for all of us who watch it because we always call this out, is whatever you don't like in a partner or what you don't want, don't tell the production people, because I was clear from the start that I didn't want someone who's got a child. Now, whether that's right or wrong, he said, and what did they do? Put me someone with a child. He said, so straight away, you've got that conflict. And he was talking about that, basically saying that as we believe, like you can clearly see people are incompatible and they get in that affair situation or like the Veronica and Dave thing and all that. So I sort of believe that because we know they have their hands on it. However, I just kept thinking, Athena, just give it up. This guy he's not interested in you. He's been like that from the start and he's not going to change now. Just walk away with your head held high. You're not going to be able to change this guy. And I think she just lost a bit of ground because I thought her speech was really good. And then it was like, just leave, so yeah, it started off as strange as the rest of the week went, to be honest, Dave.
I have to say, for me, I think Athena's arc, if you like, is the most frustrating thing of this season. I don't like Adrian either. However, what I would say is he's been pretty consistent right from the start. In fact, the only wobble was where he seemed to be the truth speaker for a couple of weeks, where he was actually calling other people out, and it was like, yeah, to be fair, he's spot on there. But, he's never particularly nice to Athena. The only conclusion I can come to, Chris, is this guy must have an Olympic-level turbocharged dick or something. I mean, he was basically horrible to her, not interested in seeing the kid, getting to know the kid, or anything. Not a flask. Or maybe it is a
Just for
flask.
measuring
I know,
purposes.
yeah.
Just for measuring purposes, Dave,
Long as it is wide. So I don't know. I just think, and I just could not believe it. All the things that had gone through, that she'd gone through, and then her sister Cleo's basically saying, "Well, if you had a daughter, would you want your daughter to be with someone like Adrian?" It's like, yeah, I hear what you say, and there was that kind of rousing speech, wasn't there? It's like, yeah, you're not right for me, and he says, yeah, not really asked, really. It's not going to work, is it? I mean, they are literally the opposite sides of Australia. And so, that should have been the end of it. And she's like, oh, Adrian, what are you doing? You say these things, but you don't really mean it. And do you want to come back to the hotel and have a shag? She didn't
it's
say
just
that, but that's
bizarre.
that's sort of what she was saying. How about tonight? And he's like, oh, yeah, fuck it, yeah, let's go. He's not asked, so he's been
No.
consistent. She's been the massively inconsistent one. So I struggle to have any kind of sympathy at all. There must be other human beings. There must be other males who are capable of sexual acts in the bedroom. You don't have to fly
Yeah.
across Australia for this. So yeah, Adrian's a tool, but I can honestly say I think Athena irritated me more by the end of it. Gotta say,
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you. Bizarre, Dave. Absolutely. Stupid. And I'll say the reality TV side of it just clicked in for her, I think, the last few weeks. It's just like, there's only so many red flags we can throw up.
I mean, it's either the reality TV, just wanting to stay because, like, say, if Adrian's saying, "Oh yeah, don't tell production what you don't want," and it's like, "Oh really? It's taken you 12 seasons to get that," but
Yeah,
but you were there right to the end, mate. You both of you, for all the volatility of it. It was just the quote unquote chemistry that they had apparently,
physical.
which kept them together. But yeah, it's just unbelievable, Jeff.
Yeah, unbelievable, Jeff. Yeah, unbelievable, Jeffrey. Well, actually, I'm saying it all went to plan. I was shocked by Jamie and Dave's decision to actually give it a second chance because we know something happened with Dave and Veronica, whether it was physical or emotional. Something happened there. There was a connection. She alluded to that they slept together, didn't she? It was never confirmed by either of them.
Oh, did you?
Jamie, well, I mean, when they were asking how the relationship was, and she kept looking at the camera, going, "Oh yeah, yeah," like laughing as if to say something had happened, in that
No.
bedroom. So,
I just went off the whole script that she wrote out and read out to Elliot about how great Dave was.
Dave, what a
Dave did
guy, what a
this, and
guy.
Dave did that, and made me breakfast and whatever. So yeah, yeah,
I,
definitely
no, yeah.
that interfered with Jamie and Dave's relationship, I think.
Yeah, it did, and he said in his speech about her making amends, and he wasn't there for her, and she said she loved him and all that bollocks. But when they actually said we're going to make another go, I'm thinking this isn't going to last. This is nonsense. Dave is not there. If what gets me is after 3 months, if you can't see living with someone day in day out that they're not the person for you, then they're not. That's it. You look at Ree and Jeff. I mean, I'm not shitting on because I was so happy. I think got one couple who looked happy, but they did do the old classic reality TV of "I am falling in love with you,"
Yeah.
whereas Dave had never said that. Dave had never said that to her. She said she loved him. She's clearly upset, Jamie, and I was so shocked. I mean, obviously, I know we get to like the dinner party and the final sort of chat with the experts, but at that point, I was like, well, I wasn't expecting that to be fair. So sort of contradicts what I said at the start. I was very surprised that she didn't walk away and that Dave wanted to give it a chance. So yeah, bizarre considering how that much they fell off within the last 3 or 4 episodes of Maths. It was very, very strange, I think.
Yeah, I was surprised they stuck around, and I guess Dave, to his credit, after that 1 week, after that, he didn't come across like a psychopathic Patrick Bateman sort. And you say he didn't say that, he wasn't falling in love with her. He said, "I don't hate the girl,"
That's
which is a
terrible.
a weird thing, it's the other end of the spectrum. And so I just don't understand why they stuck around, to be honest. I just think it was done from that week. Whatever happened and whether it had progressed, right up until that week, it seemed to be going the right way and then just utterly fell off a cliff. So, whether it was the declaring of love or whether it was the Veronica thing, I don't know. But it was dead from there, and it should have ended before the final vows, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And a nice little segue, Dave. A nice little segue. But Beth and TJ, that didn't even get to the final vows. And I think that was the right decision. It was a
Yeah.
waste of everyone's time. If at least they did it and Beth cut, she sort of saved herself the heartache and everything. She knew he wasn't right. Like TJ's low key been blagging us, and he
Yeah.
come in and did everything right. We talked about this the last few episodes, and then as it got to the point of basically squeaky bum time of, oh, this is a relationship. Actually, I think Beth does like me. He's just. It's like you said last week, he's just here for his modeling career. He got asked to go on through connections. He's a good looking guy. You can see that, but just rinsing it for what it is. We will talk about it all the time. It's the same thing, but it just insults the audience, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We know that it's like a 5% chance of a success, which we got this series. But yeah, just he had all the looks and no real personality. I think as it went on, I don't think he showed himself to be a, a great person at certain stages. I must admit.
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it? Because we sometimes say, why don't you just leave? You don't have to do this. And you think, well, some of these people who go to the final vows, they know they're out, or they it's not going to work or whatever. Oh yeah, I just can't be asked doing this. So Beth's the only one who's really done it, and I think she did genuinely have some sort of feelings. She felt it was going that way. But yeah, it's like, yeah, I don't really have to do this. So the only surprise for me is like, say, other people don't do it. I guess if you're really in it for the drama and the screen time, then you're gonna do it, aren't you? You're gonna try. Oh my God, we'll get onto the writing of speeches later, but I'm sure. But for Beth,
Yeah.
I do think she probably was there for to meet someone. So yeah, she just ducked out gracefully.
No, did the right thing as well. Did the right thing, to be honest. And then obviously, Dave, I don't even know where to start with this couple, Jackie and Ryan. I don't know what to say. I'm not a fan of Ryan. I don't believe the bullshit that he comes out with. I think he's quite an insecure person. I think, like, obviously, it's all bravado, into it, and everything. But
Mm,
what do you think about Jackie? Because I what annoyed me, I think, was Jamie saying, "What a legend." I think she's been fantastic for the show, and I think, like, producers, absolute wet dream, isn't she? She's just so all over the place, but I genuinely think she's got problems. I think, like, it's almost like there's 2 or 3 different versions of Jackie, and I've never known somebody, and I do question, like, why she was actually cast, because I never questioned somebody on a show who could just literally lie and just not think that we can't see it. And also, one minute be so in love with Ryan, and then within a split second, just hate his guts and calls him
yeah,
out. If you're with someone like that and Ryan isn't without blame, that would be exhausting, wouldn't it? You just
yeah,
she's got so many different personality traits, and I'm being honest, Dave. I don't know whether this is just a male thing, a male bias or whatever, but I find it so difficult to sort of vouch for her at times, even when I know Ryan has been a complete bellend, because
mm,
some of the stuff she comes out with, I'm like, someone, either Ryan or her, is a complete liar. And I think consistently she has shown herself up to just be a hypocrite at different stage after. Unbelievable
yeah.
person on the show and a fantastic person on Maths who we'll talk about for a long time, but so hard to read if you're in a relationship with. I just don't get her at all.
Yeah, I think, and definitely, if you encountered a couple like this in real life, you'd probably be saying, "Well, he says this, she says this. It's hard to tell who's right."
Yeah.
The thing is, we can see the lies right there on the screen, where she'll say
Yeah.
one thing and then completely contradict herself. I found it bonkers the way this went. And I do think there are elements where she is genuinely Tommy Lee Jones in Batman Returns, batshit fucking crazy.
Yeah.
She's just utterly off the wall, and she can moan about the edit or whatever, but when there's a lot of the footage where it's just her speaking, and the what I don't get is you could see that week where Ryan was clearly just out. He was checked out. He was done. He was drained with everything, and then she wanted to stay. She wanted, to have another crack at it, and she was going on about how great he is. She suddenly made that switch, and the thing is, she sort of pandered to his ego there, so she was saying the right things to manipulate him into thinking, "Oh yeah, there could actually be something here." And I'm like, "Brian, what are you doing? Like, just don't buy it." But he was buying it. And then, she came clean, didn't she, about the swapping of numbers with that guy? Where again, here's where the producers did sort of throw her under the bus a little bit, because the where she didn't think she was getting filmed, and she said to the guy, "Oh, I'll be out of here in 10, 11 days," or whatever it was she said. So it's very clearly, playing up for the camera and saying something else when she thinks she's off the camera. But yeah, the switch from Ryan is the greatest guy, which let's face it, he's not. But
No.
going from that, and then as soon as she's out of that environment, she's like, "Yeah, he's a fucking muppet, isn't he? I don't want anything to do with him." And he's actually the worst, the worst person who's ever lived. And I just love the delusion. It's like, oh yeah, I have so many great lines, iconic lines, and she's busy writing a speech, and then she delivers a line, and I bet in her head she's thinking, oh, this is going to go down in maths history. So she says the thing about Ryan, you're all the red flags. You're a red car. You're not just a red flag. You're a red carpet. And I bet in a hotel room or whatever, writing it down. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Oh, a legendary line. And I'm like, that's fucking terrible. It's like written by a child in crayon. So yeah, and then obviously we'll get into the twist. But yeah, she was definitely ramping it up. And for someone who apparently doesn't watch TV, she's obviously watched enough reality TV to try and play that character. I can only assume that she is trying to play a character and she isn't just that off the wall normally.
I, you know what? I hope so for herself. But I felt that as it went on, I was like, I know the stuff there we've seen with Ryan that he's wrong on, and he's treated her badly, and just the whole dynamic and everything. But the whole thing was from the start. She said she wanted someone who's loaded, who's got this life, who can treat her like this. And it's like, and obviously I will talk about the twist in a minute, but you're like, but that's yeah, that is it, basically. That's that she what I found with her, and it's hard to articulate this, but I find it difficult to root for her, even when I know Ryan is in the wrong, because I know that there's something else going to happen. Like, you can't go into the final commitment ceremony the way they did, hating each other, and then as soon as we go back to him after the VT and one of the other couples, they're thoroughly in love. But then obviously she hates him, and I'm just like, oh, this is exhausting. So that's where I come from. At this point in the show, anyway, at this point at the start of the week when we get all this, because obviously as it goes on, Dave, I have more to say. So I'll put a pin in that for now. So we did get Karina and Paul. We did get the man who can turn the waterworks on at any instance, who we've been called out a few times about this, about the situation with Karina and Paul, because the people have found stuff out in the background about Karina or whatever, but we can only go off what we see. And you can't have every single person on the show saying that he's out of order, what he's done, and everything like that. And yeah, you could say, well, it's just a TV show. She's faking it. He's faking it. But what we see on the show in real world, that's not right, what he's done to her. And he's manipulated her, and you don't get called out the way he did, especially at the end, if we're all wrong. He could be the greatest guy in the world, and he's totally misunderstood, but I don't think he is. In my opinion, he's not. I've just called out Jackie. It's nothing to do with, we're called out for sticking up for a lot of the girls over the guys. We're called bad behavior, and Paul's behavior's been fucking rubbish, because at the end of the day, I've got a 24-year-old daughter, and if that bellend turned up at my door, Dave, I'd be turning him the other way and kicking his ass right out the
Yeah.
door, because he wouldn't be here for long. And I'm sure you'd be the same. So that's not someone who you want, because he's gaslighting, he's manipulative, he's always going to be someone who you can't trust. Just going off the show, maybe he's and found himself and all that. He apologised at the end of it, Dave, for his behaviour. So that's it. I'm justified in the way I thought about Paul this whole series. He's an absolute clown. Whether Karina is fame chaser or not, what we got shown on the show, we can only go off. And I don't think she did a lot wrong, to be honest. That's my opinion.
No, I mean, so I'll show my hand. So for me, Paul is the bell end of the season, Chris. I think there are a few contenders, and I don't know, maybe at the end we'll do an Olympic gold medal thing,
Yeah.
gold, silver, bronze, because I think there's a few that deserve to be on the podium. But I just think the delusion of him and the fact that his career is a wellness officer or whatever he was, it's like, oh, that is scary, that, because if you're advising people on, mental health and stuff, you kept doing these really shitty things and then thinking well, you just has to apologize for them. I think, like, not to get all religious, but even as a kid, I was a bit confused by, like, you were brought up Catholic, weren't you? And I was
Yeah,
confused by the idea of, repenting for your sins. It's like, well, you can do all these shitty things, like literally for your whole life. And so, like, you can sit on your deathbed and say, oh, fucking sorry for all that. And then that's it. Happy days. Slate wiped clean. There you go. And Paul seemed to have this, like, attitude of, oh no, well, I just have to say sorry, and almost get a bit petulant. It's like, oh, how many times do I have to say sorry? Well, don't know, but as many as it fucking takes if you think that's going to work for you. But then,
yeah.
yeah, it's just really problematic behavior. And yeah, the fact is, you could see at the final vows, like, he was shocked. He was like, "Oh, this shouldn't happen. I should end the relationship on my terms." And what normally happens is, I apologize, enough, and then they forget about it. I do another shitty thing, and then I'm back into apologizing. I can turn on the waterworks and everything. But when he's turning on the waterworks, you can see that finally, Karina's just not having it at all. She's almost got the ick by him. She's not emotional at all. It's just like, oh, fucking get me out of here. I've had enough of this now. And yeah, it ended up where it should do. And again, we'll talk about the dinner party, but I was gobsmacked about that. But yeah, for Final Vows, I didn't think he was going to take it quite as bad as he did, and I think he acted more shocked than he certainly should have been. So, yeah, bell end of the season for me.
Yeah, and we will do a scoring system, Dave, but we may be pretty close on that one. I think you're right. I think there's a difference between owning your mistakes, but owning them and apologizing, that's fine. Just don't fucking do them. If you're going to keep doing them, it's all right saying, I'll make himself accountable. I'm going to apologize. Like you say, can't give, just don't do them. It was a pattern all the way through the VT we see, at the dinner party thing and the final session with the experts. There's a reason that was all put together. So yeah, at this point, I'm with you. I don't know why he was crying because I was like, I don't get it. Did you think that she's not seen you for weeks? Did you really think that? And maybe like what you said, why didn't she just do a Beth? Maybe she wanted to humiliate him. I don't know. I
Mm.
don't know. That should have just been done weeks ago. When all this happened, just walk away with a bit of dignity. But we got the whole shebang as we do with the show. Maybe more producer led than maybe Karina didn't want to do it. I don't know. I'm not making excuses for him, but I'm just saying, like, he got what he deserves to me. And Dave, I said it before, but the fact that we've got a less than 10% success rate on this show was testament to Ree and Jeff because knowing that they've been together before, they absolutely in love these guys. I was a bit worried at this point when, as I said before, I am falling in love with you. If you don't know you're falling in love with him after 3 months and you've got a key to his apartment and vice versa, and he's why has he not said it to her? Why? But anyway, they look like an absolute brilliant couple, don't they? Absolute brilliant couple. I, I know it sounds silly because we call out the boring couples and go, yeah, but there's not a lot going on, and we've mentioned it about them. But I think by the end of this show, the premise of it, I am sort of rooting for them. I hope that they do stay together. I've not read anything, and I'm praying that they're still together because Dave, we're all hopeless romantics at the end of the day. We do shit on these absolute clowns, but the fact that we've got one couple who look like they're at least gonna last longer than the OK magazine deals anyway, that's the main thing. So and they look good together. I think because 'cause they're older as well, late 30s. He's 39, Jeff. It's like,
I
this
think she's
should
a
be
little
it,
bit
shouldn't it?
younger, isn't she? I think.
Yeah, I think she's 32, 33, is she?
Yeah, yeah.
But they just look really good together, don't they, as a couple? And they seem to
Yeah.
have each other's back, and there's nothing happened through this whole experiment. So, no, good on them, Dave. I say we actually got a couple of sorts who are together. At least they were for the show, anyway.
Yeah, like I say, these are the Ollie and Tani couple. These are picked, by the experts to show us that, if they actually try, they can match a couple. Most of them are just put together for comedy and drama. But I mean, let's face it, for these shows, we do sort of come for the premise, but we stay for the drama, don't we? So I think it's a
Yeah,
natural journey that we've been on. So they were dull and boring. You know, when it's the height of the drama, we want to see more Jackie. You know, we want to see more of this just chaotic drama fueled nonsense. But when it gets to the end, I think you actually do want some of the couples to work, and you know that's what they brought to the show. It does sort of invalidate the whole science by the experts. You know, these are people who found each other. You know, Australia is fucking massive. You know, and it just happened to be two people who'd already been in a relationship, but yeah, it was really good, and just everything about their relationship by the end, you can't help but root for them. I do believe they are together. I did put some notes, but I can't remember at the top of my head. I've put together a "Where are they now?" At the end, but yeah, no, that's the heartwarming bit of this season, wasn't it? Them two.
it was. And you mentioned Jackie, Dave. End of this episode, so we're sort of at the first two episodes. We get the revelation, which isn't really a revelation, that Jackie is with Clint, Dave. Clint, I've got a lot of money, and Jackie's saying to the camera, the greatest thing to come out of this relationship is we're going to start a business together. Oh, okay then. Yeah. Marvelous. That's definitely the basis. Clint is fucking strange. You'd said it weeks ago when he was with Lauren, and you're right. And I felt he come across as an arrogant wanker. And if
Yeah,
Jackie takes all his money off him, Dave, it's his own fucking fault. I'm not saying
yeah,
she is, but everything that she alluded to is about the status, the money,
yeah,
everything. And everything he talked about was about the status, the
yeah.
money. You know, she's gone from a Fiat to Ferrari and all these bollocks. But when she said that line and he didn't even flinch, she was like, yeah, we're starting a business together. And I'm like, definitely. There's no physical thing there, is it? It wasn't like you were mad passionately having sex at fucking every single, moment of the day. Emotionally connected, that there's just such a connection that we didn't see on the screen and it was amazing. No, you're starting a business together. And I was like, oh my word. Oh my word. I would love to have a reality show on these two, Dave, because the fallout is going to be glorious. They are perfect for another TV show.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, he's such a boring drip, isn't he? I wish they hadn't spoiled it at the end of it was episode 38, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Um, I, had that just appeared on the reunion, that I'd have preferred that, to be honest. But yeah, they put it right in at the end there, and yeah, it's all the negative things that you think, isn't it? I mean, it's certainly she's not with him for his personality, his infectious personality, um, and I think he just came across as a drip. But this is where, and I think both of us have struggled to fully get into Ryan's corner because you can see he's got his own issues. But when they're talking about the Fiat to a Ferrari or whatever, was it Ford to Ferrari, or am I just thinking of the
Yeah.
movie there?
Maybe it
Um,
was Ford, yeah.
yeah, no, I think it was a Fiat to a Ferrari. It's just like, you fucking stuck up pair of fucking twats. You just snooty snobbery. I mean, there's Paul's thing that he anchors onto for Karina. It's like, oh, she can be a bit of a snob, but you know, with Clint and Jackie, they just take it to a different level. They almost like the old Harry Enfield character. They I am considerably more richer than you.
Thank you. Yeah. It's a callback,
So
Dave.
yeah, just horrible, horrible people. And up until that moment, I thought Jackie was quite entertaining and funny, but yeah, just and you think, well, we'll get onto the dinner party, I guess, but as it evolves around the timeline, none of it makes sense because even if so the story with them two is they got together 2 weeks after the final vows, but the reunion was only 4 weeks after the final vows. So basically, in between final vows and the reunions, this 4 weeks, started seeing each other. She's been across. She stayed with him, and then they're engaged to be married, and also starting up a business. But so I'm thinking that's bullshit, right? There's no way it's just started after the final vows. No way. But was it going on when she was handing a number to that guy? You know, for the date? I just don't know. It is fucking bizarro world.
It is. I'm with you. I think that's been going on for ages. Ryan did say they've been talking for ages, but he didn't think there's anything wrong with it because it was in the context of the show. The timelines don't add up, as you've just said. It was like, come on. And look, nothing was ever going to happen between her and Ryan. But
No.
the fact that she's dragged it out and dragged him through over the coals there, she was very close to being my bell end of the series, David, if I'm being honest. I just find it utterly bizarre. I don't think he's innocent. As I say, Ryan, there's something off about this guy as well. And I know there's been fallout after the show, which we won't get into, but I just think for what we're watching, I can't root for her. Even if he's done stuff wrong, I just cannot root for her. Just like, it's so all over the place. And that's where I think there's something there with her that needed to be checked before she come on the show because none of this makes sense. Like she's blatantly cheating, she's just clout chasing, she's gone for the guy who's absolutely wadded, which is what she said she wanted before she got Ryan. And it's like, you've got everything you want. But when she's talking to the camera, I'm just like, you're such a liar. You're talking bullshit. Like, I mean, what made me laugh is, Dave, Jamie, of all the people, who's a fucking gobshite at the best of times, right? And she stuck up for some people, and I think she was right when she had that Karina and thingy fallout, fallout, and all that.
Mm.
But oh, apparently she's iconic. She's iconic for the
Yeah.
show, but you're not going to call your mate out for what she's just done to Ryan. But I'm sure if Ryan had done that to your mate, and he'd come in with another girl who he'd obviously been talking to while they were together, you'd have been the fucking first to jump on the back of Ryan there and give him a load of shit. And I was just like, I can't be doing with that. Like, you've got to be down the line with stuff like that. So she is iconic in the context of maths for all the wrong reasons, but she was just a complete bellend. And I think she come across so poorly at the end of this.
Yeah, I agree. I think the iconic thing, um, I think it was just Jamie was in a mode of men are all bastards.
Yeah. Probably,
So
yeah.
she
Yeah.
sort of, in that moment, probably became a Jackie apologist, and it's like iconic, yeah, iconic fucking bellend,
Yeah.
and just did she she went full on fucking exorcist, didn't she? Was waiting at the dinner party, like, and Ryan was dismissing her a
Brilliant.
bit, and she's like, "Yeah, listen to me," almost waiting for the head to turn around. It's like, whoa, the mask certainly slipped there, didn't it? But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know who they think they're kidding, but ultimately, is Jackie's probably got what she wanted out of the show. I mean, even before, I think it's come out that she was emailing different fashion companies trying to get freebies before she came on the show. And one of them just happened to be Karina's company that she was emailing and trying to get these freebies. So, like I say, for someone who doesn't watch the TV, apparently, nah, I'm not having it. You know the reality TV game a bit too well, and so yeah. But Clint, I thought I kind of I gave him a bit of a pass as just being utterly boring. What I found really distasteful about that couple is again the way they were kind of snooty and looking down. And Ryan was trying to have this conversation. Now, the, whatever goes on between Clint and Jackie is one thing, but Ryan said something about, I'd have expected you to come and talk to me or whatever, and he's saying about being mates, and I mean, he didn't have to say, "Oh, we're not mates."
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's just an unnecessary comment, just hear the guy out. He's just had confirmed that the person who he spent all this time and a rocky relationship with is now with you, and apparently you're madly in love or whatever. Uh, Let him have his say. And so, yeah, I thought there were a lot of things that Clint, I said what the name stands
Mm.
for, but yeah, him and Jackie just tools, and I think they're probably the worst couple for me since, oh, what was it? Karina, was it? The whole
The gym guy,
Jackson
Carolina,
or
and,
Carolina, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and they
So
lasted long, didn't they? But no, I
yeah,
could look, Dave, great TV and a great little shock factor, but morally, you're like, "Oh, no, this doesn't sit well." And I think, like,
Robbie,
everyone
wasn't it?
knows it. Yeah, yeah. Everyone knows it. Everyone around the table is just like, "This is ridiculous." They pan to 'em all, and they're all like, "I'm not even fucking shocked now. This is ridiculous." Like, it's absolutely ridiculous, but I don't think there's a lot of love for Ryan as well. I think people see the fact that they've been so flaky. One week they hate each other, the next week they're the greatest love story ever. I think people are just probably tired of it. You've got their own shit going on, and just started stepping off that. Obviously, we then get it confirmed that Dave and Jamie have definitely split up. It didn't work. Surprise, surprise. They're done. Then you've got the whole conflict again with Athena and Adrian, and then Sierra comes with receipts. Apparently, Dave didn't think it really landed. To be honest, didn't think
What the
Sierra's.
fuck, though? I mean, she took Adrian on this date. She can explain it away all she wants, but basically, he was behind her back. Her and Athena seemed to be friends, unless there was loads going on off camera where Athena was horrible to her. Don't, I mean, I said I got annoyed with Athena's whole arc because it was just ridiculous, and I think, whatever. But Sierra, fucking hell. Again, was she just trying to land that iconic role? Was she came in full barrels loaded, didn't she? Didn't even really give a fuck that Billy was there. It's just like, oh, you.
Yeah,
But she came in gunning for Athena. And again, it's like, are you really that annoyed? And if you are, I don't know why. It seems like you were kind of in the wrong, and or are you just annoyed because I still think when she wrote leave, she was fully expecting Billy to say stay. So she's sort of annoyed that she had her time cut short as well. But yeah, it's like, fucking pipe down. She came in way too hot for what was necessary, I think.
I agree, and I don't think it was nice what Athena said. I do think she said that about Adrian. I do think she said about his business
Was a little bit funny though, wasn't
Yeah, it was funny, but I think yeah, but I mean, if you look at, I suppose if you flip it, it wouldn't be nice if he'd said that about her. The bloody table would be in uproar, wouldn't they? Now he obviously looked, Dave, to be fair, that he's been callless in the past. Maybe it's because of the way he speaks or whatever. I don't know. But there was something there. She's obviously bitched about him, but why she would bitch to Sierra, I don't know. When
it?
Sierra
I
and
think they were friends. I think they were friends before that, and I think that's why I think Athena's got a genuine reason to be, disappointed in the whole. They were playing fucking footsie under the table, weren't they? So I I think Athena's got a genuine reason to be annoyed. Um, and I guess that you're right. It was a hurtful thing that Athena had said. And what I didn't understand is this thing of, oh, I said some of those things. Well, which things? Because that
yeah, I
kind of
didn't get that.
matters. Like, if you're just in a low moment and you're just like, "Oh, that person, they're fucking arsehole," and, but if you're saying, "This guy's got a shitty business and he can't fucking spell," all right, if you did say those things, maybe that's a bit over the line, but for all the arguments that they've had, Adrian has just not given a flying fuck for the whole series. But that was clearly, that pierced the armor, didn't it? And he was clearly quite upset about that. Now, I think probably of the things, she probably did say that, which is why she wasn't clarifying. I said these things, I didn't say these things. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting subplot, actually, of the whole dinner party.
I do, and I must admit the skepticism on me is this the first time where Athena's actually been on the back foot and Adrian's just using it as a bit of a he's not really asked what she said, but it's the first time he's got the higher ground, I suppose, Dave, as
Yeah.
Obi-Wan would say. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
I sort of it sort of felt I think Adrian's actually quite a clever guy, to be honest, and I think I sort of felt he knew what was coming when he sees the experts, that he wasn't gonna come across as a great person, and this was the little bit of, like, dousing, the water on the flame sort of thing to try and get away from what he'd done. I couldn't work that out, but either way, waste of fucking time. Sierra built herself up like she was the main baddie. I'm with you. And it was just like, yeah, you're just not a good person, really, are you? You're coming with these receipts, but nobody really cares because
Yeah.
she didn't give a fuck about Billy. I mean, I'm not saying I'm a big fan of Billy either, Dave, to be honest. He just sort of sat there fucking homeless all the way through it, like doing this, just looking. I'm
But do you know,
not a
I
fan.
I I feel like he was, Martin Freeman in The Office. Like, just all this bonkers shit was going on around him, and he was like, "What the fuck?" And,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
say Sierra's there gunning, and it's like, he's there, but she never give a shit about him at all. And I think reflecting back, he I think she'd done a few things, like when he was pouring his heart out, and she was just like, she wasn't scrolling on her phone, but she wasn't fucking far off. She just wasn't listening to him at all. So I just don't really think she cared about him at all, and was definitely clout chasing. But yeah, I don't know if it was the edit. I'm not going to lay into Billy for that. I think he was just gobsmacked at all of the nonsense going on around him.
Then again, Dave, well, maybe you're right. The reality of it all is there's no reality, is there? Let's be honest. So maybe he's like
Yeah,
the same person. I'm giving him a bit of stick and I shouldn't, but
for
I
just being
think
normal.
just be normal, yeah, just be normal. I think, and I'm going to segue into the thing with this, into the reunion with the experts. But Karina and Paul, such interesting the conversation.
Wow.
Paul comes, yeah, exactly, comes to the dinner party like it's her fault. She's been lying. She's done this. She's not without fault, and blah blah blah. And then when he speaks to like John and everyone, they just give it him, don't they? And that's what I'm saying. Like whatever we think about the show, whatever we think about the people, he's just done himself no favors at all, has he? Like the fact that he was doubling down in his head, he's gone home and gone, actually, she's in the wrong. And he was not one person, forget the experts who were supposed to be experts, they're absolutely useless. But there was nobody else around that whole dinner table when they were sat with the experts. None of the guys backed him one bit, did they? They did a whole video montage of like the situation. And when you put it together like that, he's pretty bad. I thought the Adrian one was a bad one as well. When you put it all together with the way he treated Athena. And I was like, nah, this is bad. But like the Paul stuff, when John went, I'm only going to be able to say this to you once. You need to listen. And he wasn't taking that in. He wasn't taking that in. I just felt like he got his comeuppance, and I just hope that. And John said that. I hope wherever you go from this next, you learn because you've got to learn. That's not a relationship the way he is, Dave. It really isn't. I mean, we talked about him enough before, but I felt like the whole ending to their journey was just perfect. It was like, nah, you need to go away, Paul, and reflect on it. Whether
Yeah.
Karina's a clout chaser or not, I didn't see a lot wrong. She did even admit that she was quite insecure about it, but he made her insecure, and I probably back that as well. So, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
really interesting end for them two on the show, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and I think he showed himself to be incredibly emotionally immature, didn't he? And if you look back at all the things, all of the I was going to say misdemeanors, but the whole punch in the wall thing came because Karina had said about, oh, she's slept with this rapper or something. And it's like, all right, she has had relationships before, but it was all because of that. The whole going on a date thing, not stopping for a second, and then he knew it was wrong because the way he came back and said, "Oh, yeah, it's so uncomfortable when I was there." It's like, mate, we saw the date, you weren't. And if anything, it was the other person who was like, "Okay, if it's so great, why are you here?" And he just does these stupid things. But the most immature is when he comes in like Jay from the In-Betweeners. You remember when I think it was the first
Yeah.
was it the first season when he gets he gets dumped by his girlfriend because, he's too clingy or something, but he tells all the lads, he's like, "Oh, my dick's too big." That's why I had to finish it. And it's like, "All right, you had to finish it, did you?" And again, Paul's telling all the lads, "Oh, yeah, yeah, that's why I decided, that, that she wasn't right for me, 'cause she's a bit of a snob and she's got her own problems and stuff." And it's like, mate, you must have seen these reunions before. They know the receipts are all coming out. So you're telling all the lads this, and they're going to watch the video later and they're going to see you fucking crying, crumpled deep, you know, after you've just been dumped, and you're going to look like a fucking idiot. But yeah, again, I just hope he makes a different career choice. This guy should not be a fucking wellness advisor. I can't compute, I can't join those two things together for someone who's so massively emotionally immature and, that career choice. So, yeah, I even all of the shitty things that Paul had done and the way it finished at the Final Vows, I thought, yeah, that's right. I didn't see the whole Jay from the Inbetweeners switch.
No, and I think I said before, it's just saving face, and in his world, he'll die on the hill that he was always in the right. Maybe
Yeah.
the
Maybe it was the
Jackie and Ryan
edit,
thing.
Chris, and,
It was always the edit,
that's
Dave.
the thing.
Yeah, it's always the edit. And Jackie and Ryan, I think she's gonna do the same thing. Whatever happens, it'll be Ryan's fault, and he'll do the same with Jackie. You just get that with people, don't you? They're not very good at reflecting. I only think that comes with age as well and experience.
Mm.
Sometimes, unfortunately, including myself, you're the fucking arsehole in the actual situation, whether you want to admit it or not. We
Yep.
all make mistakes. We all do things. We all have biases, stubbornness, things where we think we're right. And it's only as you get older, sometimes you're like, yeah, I need to say sorry. Even if you know, like by saying sorry, you're losing a bit of ground, it just sometimes diffuses situations. And that is, I know someone who's made mistakes and we've all been there and done that. But yeah, I mean, great end to the CV, uh, to the actual show itself, Dave. I think like Ree and Jeff said they loved each other. We got a bit of a
Yeah, yeah.
montage, didn't we, of like different things in the show. And I think these more fun elements of the show, they don't actually show us the audience. Like I always talk about Love Island, the
Yeah,
extra
unseen
episodes
bits.
always so yeah, the unseen bits is so much better than the real show because they're not playing characters, they're not trying to fall in love, they're not being put in a certain situation in the villa and said, right, talk about this. They're just being like young, adults pissing about sort of thing. So I think there's good friendships that have come from all this. And I think like as a show, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I really have. I think like say Jackie's been box office for all the wrong reasons. Paul has because he's just a dick, But again, if he didn't have these sort of characters, Ryan, where would we be? With Veronica, even Sierra, they've all brought something to the table in the wrong reasons, but it's kept us talking and watching, going, "Oh, we always need a baddie." And I think there's been quite a few pantomime villains this series, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, 100%. Now, Chris, normally you does the, "Where are they now?"
With
thing.
my research, Dave,
Yeah,
yeah.
with your
Yeah.
rapidly Googled research. But I will say, so Ree and Jeff, they are still
Mhm.
together. So that's good. They've
Good.
moved in together in Melbourne. And again, I can't help but feel because they had that initial relationship before they came on the show in this scenario, it's worked out quite well because they can kind of accelerate things a little bit. But one of the things I found surprising, so Jamie and Dave, clearly they're not together, but in a weird plot twist, apparently the rumor has it that Jamie and Elliot are dating.
I've seen the TikToks, Dave. I've
Are
seen the
you've been
TikTok.
on the TikToks, have you? So is it a
Yeah.
confirmed thing? Because I couldn't tell whether it was. I don't browse. I sound like I'm fucking 90. I don't browse the TikToks.
Um, I don't think it's confirmed. So I think what your information is correct. I think Elliot's been really good at doing TikTok. Like he's really like learned into it. He's using a lot of like the ex-contestants in his TikToks. And I think it's really stood out. Like he's just been funny. I don't think Adrian's a big fan of Elliot. I think he's a not Adrian. Adrian and Elliot are good friends, but I don't think Elliot, for Billy and Dave are big fans. However,
Huh.
Elliot's sort of TikToks have had like JB, Athena, and there's been different members of the cast in some of his TikToks. They've been quite funny, to be honest. But yeah, Jamie's always there. So that's where the rumors have come from, even though they're just friends, apparently, Dave. So maybe they're just doing it for the clicks. I don't know. But I saw that rumor as well.
Yeah. So Athena and Adrian, I mean, after the hotel bang, after the Final Vows and stuff, it did seem that that went south at that point. So they're obviously not together. Again, rumor mill is that Athena is now dating Billy, which I
That's
didn't see
interesting.
coming.
Yeah, I didn't see that one at all.
But I mean, I don't
Mhm.
know. I know you just slated him before, but I mean, he did seem a bit more grounded. I could see that working a lot better than certainly Athena and Adrian.
Yeah, and then if he's into kids and that as well, as in, he wants kids, he's happy to take on, her child as well, which is a good thing, then brilliant, brilliant. And they've got something in common with the show. Maybe that's it, Dave. Maybe, fair play if they are. I think she deserved that. And if Billy Bob does float a boat, then fair play to him.
So yeah, Karina and Paul obviously not together.
Yeah,
Paul's keeping a low profile. Karina has stated she's single, but has been seen with other celebrities apparently. Um, yeah, we'll see about that. And yeah, Lauren and Clint engaged. So wow. Uh,
Jackie and Clint.
sorry, not Lauren and Clint. Yeah, that was the original. Well, that was almost take two, wasn't it? And so Clint
Yeah,
is in the third iteration of that lot. So yeah,
that's
Jackie
true.
and Clint engaged. Absolute bonkers stuff. But yeah, I'm sure all for personality reasons.
I think so. I think so. And obviously, as we come to the end of this series, 40 episodes, we're looking at what we're going to do next, but we are going to take a week off or so, Dave, aren't we? Just to recharge because we know what's coming at the start of June. So we
Oh
know
my god.
exactly where we're going to be. And I know how much that new Chris
Dum,
Phelps
dum,
picture you've
dum,
got
dum,
with the
dum,
dartboard
dum.
on and the fact that you'll hate me forevermore is
It's the
a month
fucking
away.
7 days a week thing that is the killer. And I take the unseen bits off. You last season you watched all the unseen bits, didn't you? So a
Yeah.
fucking hour every day of the week for like 2 months. It's like yeah.
Well,
But I
anyway.
love it really.
You don't,
No,
but
I
you don't
really
love
don't.
me, I don't think. But no, honestly, so we'll have a look, see if there's anything there. But we're definitely going to take a couple of weeks off now. This has been a hell of a slog. This is becoming Love Island territory of reality TV, isn't it? Like that extra week was just taking the piss. I was like, come on now, you are really just taking the mick out of us. So we'll see, we'll see. But no, massive thank you to every single person who's tuned in, the comments on YouTube, questioning us. And I do appreciate the fact that we're now sort of facing the podcast. If you do want to see us on YouTube, each episode is on there at CD Reality Cast. Get over there, guys. If you want to email us, cdrealitycast@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on social media, as is YouTube at CD Reality Cast. If you do want to support us, please get over to patreon.com/CD Reality Cast. So, the roll call of honor on the last one for MAFS Australia season 12 is as follows. And a big thank you to Holly, Darren, Anna, Tilly, Marcy, Stacey, Sinead, Kathleen, Sims, Nick, Danielle, Amanda, Larissa, Nicola, Gillian, Keith, Helen, Chloe, Joanna, Libby, Susan, Lauren, Lucky Ludy Green, and Kent Gustafson. So thank you so much for your support, guys. Amazing. Everyone supported us past and present. I hope you've enjoyed this. Get in the comments. Please like and subscribe on YouTube if you do get a chance. We do appreciate it. Turn that bell notification on. And we will be back very, very soon.
Awesome. Well, I am going to be glad of the week off. I'm not going to lie,
Yeah.
and then try and re-energize before fucking Love Island. But no, honestly, mate, thank you very much for these weekly chats. And obviously, like you say, we've just dipped our toe into YouTube, haven't we? So, been a little bit different to turn the cameras on and discuss it in this way. But yeah, I really appreciate it and looking forward sort of to the next season.
No, you're not.
But yeah, thanks to everyone who's tuned in on YouTube, tuned in on all the podcast catchers. So yeah, really appreciate it. Thanks to all our supporters as well, and we'll speak to you next time.
Bye.